such an asshole.
One thing I kind of like in my big air quotes career, skit, gig, blind dumb luck thing I do here is when I get older men that come in and say, "Holy cow, kid, you were right." Or, "Yeah, I've been doing this to do, and you're on the right path." It's like it's getting the closest thing you're going to get from a message from your future self is the old man says, "Yep, you were right." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So somewhat vindicating is a bit of a strong word. Confirming. We got an email from an older man, and he has an interesting question, and I think it's going to highlight. It's going to be practical to both men and women in the Western civilization, especially America. I'll just read it here. Aaron enjoyed your book. Lots of it's called referring to the menu. I think I linked to it below. Enjoyed your book. Lots of good advice. And some of it I've been doing, mostly learned the hard way. The book seems geared more for the younger generations, but at 60, it still has value. Statistics say I have 17 more years to go, so I better make the best of it. Some of the statistics you give are scary. They are what they are. Like I did. Here's another thing: whether it's the menu or its predecessor, sister book that you should probably read before the menu, the Book of Numbers, which has even more scary numbers. I didn't look for these numbers. I just woke up and I have to continually give credit where credit is due. Thinking Ape said men and women just don't like each other that much. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. That would corroborate every bit of not experimental, empirical experience I've had with women. Oh, I've had success with certainly it hasn't all been, but generally the answer from women, and this is pretty even good looking guys. I think Roosh at the peak of his game was getting shot down 70% of the time. No, women are just not that interested in men. Doesn't mean they hate them. Doesn't mean they don't like certain men. Doesn't mean that they like have a policy against somebody with a penis. They are waiting for very few select men. And when you remove what your sex drive, the male sex drive wants, and looks at it more empirically, whoa. I mean, it's scary, sure, but it is what it is. Remember the first time I was pulling data? Oh God, I was young. I was young and pretty once. And my models were telling me that housing was overvalued by 40%. I'm like, did I forget to carry a one? This is back in the .com or the housing market days. Like, did I forget to get? No, not 40%. Did I miss something? No, I was dead on. I think men's sex drive and their desire for women blinds them to this what others would consider scary reality. But if you approach it like a scientist, or more so a statistician or actuary, where we had Fred the actuary come and verify all the numbers and all that, who unfortunately took his life. Yeah, I'm not joking. Maybe that is one of the reasons he took his life. Wow, nope, I'm out. I'm out. So yeah, it is scary, but it's true. Gave up on Western women 20 years ago after a brutal divorce. Hard way to learn marriage is a really bad idea that likely leads to financial hardship. Debt free for years has been so freeing. Well, and this gets to the paradox or the irony or the tragedy of the books that I write or the content many people beyond me make. It's not going to help older men except in the fact it explains what happened, so you're no longer confused. And sanity and peace, there's a lot to be said for that. Talk to Coach Greg Adams. He'll tell you about the value of sanity and peace. So that there's no more the confusion when you're an older man, and there's a lot of value in that. But to have it do practical good, yeah, that's why it's targeted to a younger audience. Like one of the first books I wrote was called Worthless, the Young Person's Indispensable Guide to Choosing the Right Major. If you can get that into every boy and girl's hand in the United States at the age of 14, you would solve the education problems immediately in one generation or one high school class. But the trick is, one, getting them to read it. Another trick is getting them to do it. And if you know how to get teenagers to listen to anything and do anything, you can make $1 billion selling your own book on that. But that is the irony. And it's not until people suffer the pain do they start looking for answers. And when you got teachers and parents and guidance counselors blowing smoke up young kids' asses, teachers might like that a little bit more than, see what I did there? I didn't use the G word. But lying to them, these kids are so filled with copium and unicorn farts. They think, I'm going to save the world. I'm going to become a journalist. And it's not until literally 12 years later, they're looking at 30 and they're still living at home. They got student loan debt. Hey, wait a second. I know Andrew Yang will give me free money. That's the solution. But that's the irony. Well, I imagine you had kids. Did they listen to you? I mean, that's the problem. Debt free for years. Bought a small HUD foreclosure house and rebuilt it. Work remotely in a field. My mom and son moved to be my neighbors. Oh, that's nice. My son and that's like perfect. No one's living with you, but they're across the street. My son and I started buying, fixing, and renting houses for financial freedom. I watched lots of information on YouTube videos, and one of them was yours. So I bought your book, planning on incorporating a lot of your advice into my life. Yeah, here's the question, and we'll because you're relatively new entrant to the red pill philosophy world. We're going to advance your understanding, and then I'm also going to explain because you're not the only person to have this question about. Well, why'd you write? This is horrible advice for women. If you read through the menu, and I'll get to it. Curious why you suggested that women look for men in other countries, but omitted that advice for men. I looked several times and couldn't find it. I prefer catching over fishing, and that means going where the population is plentiful and easy to catch. Women in developing countries really want a Western man. I know that from personal experience. I just don't try to bring them to the West, as the local women will try hard to convert them. All right. So the main reason I told women to go overseas. Well, let's just say why I didn't talk about why men should be going overseas. I'd have to relook at my notes, but for whatever reason, I didn't list it. Maybe I want to keep it down a certain amount. Yes, it certainly is an option. I'm probably thinking that the topic of going overseas for women. Oh wait, now I figured out. Yeah, the topic for going overseas is certainly covered by many other people, but it's life without the opposite sex, domestic or foreign. So that's introducing the opposite sex. Now that which you could say, well, wait, you gave women that. Well, here's the little inside baseball, and hopefully this will advance your understanding all that. It dawned on me around that time, a little bit before that, and this was thank you to Ryan Stone's book, The Fuchs Files, FUCC, which every man should read. I know Rollo is highlighted as the philosophical, psychological godfather who laid the foundational work with the rational male, and that's true. But Ryan nailed it, and he happened upon what inevitably would become what I call the perfect mental state. And no, that was not meant to be a pun on PMS. It just happened to be that way, though I'm sure that will be pilloried and lampooned later on. And what Ryan came from we came to the same mountain peak, except he came a different route and I came a different route. And I forgot what it was, but he was talking about how women want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to be fat, but then they want to have their Jason Momoa. They want to be having other men's kids, but then they also want to have their prince in shining armor, Mr. Big, propose to them and still get married and think that there's no ramifications. And the way he took you through this thought process to get to that, I realized something in my little, Ryan got to the top, I got to the top, and I just took a rock and put it on top of the thing that Ryan showed. I'm like, I'm going to add this rock on top of it. Was how adamant, addicted to it, not by choice. I think it is literally unconscious. And a lot of men are guilty of this too. So don't just think it's women that want to have their cake and eat it too. But women will insist on that impossible event of wanting your cake and eating it too. Like there's wanting your cake and eating it too. And if you're wondering what that means, maybe I should explain that. I always thought, well, if it's my cake, can I eat it too? Like that's what I was saying. Like, well, if it's my cake, I get to eat it, don't I? What they're talking about is people want both the instance of having a cake and eating it, where eating it eliminates the event or the reality of having one to eat. It's contradictory. So more applicably, it would be a woman wants to be fat and have attractive, good-looking men propose to her and date her and chase after her. In fairness to the women, I'll point out with the boys, men want to think being an ally and agreeing with women on feminist topics generally, but certainly their Democrat and leftist politics, will get them laid, when that's not the case. You have to go to the gym. And in all cases, people are avoiding work, toil, and ultimately responsibility. And what it came with the perfect mental state, not necessarily limited to women, but very prominent there, is if given the choice, you got three choices, okay, with the cake and eat it too. Let's use the fat. Let's use that because that's more understandable. The cake and eating it too. Whoever came up with it was brilliant because I didn't understand it for 4 decades. You got three choices, okay? You can, because the event of being fat and having an attractive man marry you or date you or whatever, pursue you, because those are mutually exclusive, you have to choose between one because choosing one will exclude the other. So, choice number one, remain fat. Nothing wrong with that. There are no wrong answers here. Okay. Do you like food more than men? Do you like the luxury and the cuisine? You know, taste is one of the 5 senses. I mean, what it's part of life. Yeah, absolutely. Go enjoy some good food. Absolutely. But then give up and don't waste a nanosecond pining or hoping for a man because in choosing to be fat and eating food, that option is removed from the table. If you want to find a handsome man, you're married, blah, 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 you're Jason Momoa, whatever Disney promised you girls, you cannot be fat. You have to give up the food. You have to diet. You have to exercise. You have to eat not the tastiest food ever. And those in the real world are your only options. However, I guess this is also in the real world is a state of cognitive dissonance where you're going to hold out, where you're under the belief that you can have your cake and eat it, that you could be a fat woman and get married to a handsome man anyway, that you can be a guy majoring in do-bro marketing and make 6 figs. All right. And even though in the real world that will never manifest, it will never come true. So in the real world, you will not experience progress in one way or the other, the benefits of neither decision. Well, I guess you do get to eat. They always go the lazy route. So I guess you don't have to work, but then you're tormented on the opportunity cost. But a third, it's almost like states of matter. Like there's, what do they call it? Gas, solid, liquid, plasma. And then there's some theoretical states where on the quantum level, what was it? Matter could take place at the same time, but it's all theoretical. In their heads, women will prefer the perfect mental state. And the perfect mental state is this artificial reality where they're allowed to have their cake and eat it too, that they can be overweight and still get their husband, that it's fated. And I've talked to women about, even women that are very intelligent. Oh, nope, you can't take that away from girls. Their Prince Charming is right around the corner. You can't take away. And you try to, these are smart women. Smart women. I'm like, but you're going to get old and forget dying. You're going to die too. And you're never going to have that guy. But you're going to get fat and you're going to lose your youth and your beauty, which is the number one thing that attracts that. Nope, 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 nope. Sing it with me now. No, 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 no. And you cannot understand, or maybe you can't because you're an older guy, but how ironclad, how solidified that state is, how wedded, how anchored to the perfect mental state women are. Because when given the choice of success in the real world, like you put in the effort, lose the weight, major in STEM, whatever, and you succeed there, or you give up on that and you take a life of leisure. I don't call it laziness. I mean, you could say it's lazy, but leisure, gluttony, sloth, perhaps. There's a corollary with the seven deadly sins. I would say vice, though. You're just enjoying vice. Like, just no, I'm not doing with God. I'm just going to eat and be happy. And like, okay. Or having the perfect mental state where you insist because it's in your mind that you are entitled and it will happen. Most times out of not. I can't say all, but like 99% of the time, women will hold out. They will live that in the real world contradictory state that will mutually exclude and prevent any success from happening in the real world. But in their head, it is the perfect mental state. And they will choose the perfect mental state every time over any kind of real world progress, unless their father raised them right, the mother raised them right, and they introduced reality and empiricism. But given, young girls and boys are given to philosophy. I mean, if their dad is even around, if their parents even care, there's what empiricism and hopefully a good set of parents would tell you, and there's just the lies of unicorn farts and puppies that teachers and media and Disney will tell them, and government, Democrats in general. I hate to introduce politics, but it's true. I mean, look at what the Democrat Party has done to black people. Holy cow! If the black community were to wake up and realize what the Democrat Party do, with pitchforks and torches, right? You could argue there's a perfect mental state phenomenon going on there. Well, but as it pertains to women, there is no getting through that. And it kind of goes to you had a son. Like when he was a little kid, what was easier to sell him, the ice cream or the broccoli? He's always going to go for the ice cream. He's a kid. We're humans. We're lazy. So he could do it as an adult. And that is why the information, the women's menu, and you guys might want to read it just as a philosophical exercise. The menu has, I'll tell for people who haven't read it, the menu is life without the opposite sex. What is there to do in life that will give you purpose, meaning, happiness, joy, contentment, peace, reason in life without the opposite sex? There's a shareables, both men and women, something that we all have in common. There's a men's menu that will give men purpose, agency, and reason in life. And there's a women's menu. And I surmise men read the men's menu, women read the women's, all three women that read it. And they didn't read the other. But both sexes, if you wanted an intellectual exercise, read what drives the opposite outside. Once you remove yourself from the opposite sex, what drives the other opposite? And they're different. And the guiding principle when I was writing the women's menu is one of stoicism, one of what is, not what should be. There was no idealism. There was no ethics. There was no principles put into the women's menu. It was only in accordance with what the perfect mental state would allow. And it's not because I'm trying to hurt women or because I'm going to destroy their lives. It's for the simple reason they won't listen to anything otherwise. How long have I been here? Go back to my track record. How long have I been here legitimately trying to help women close the wage gap? Not that should be the goal, but to make more money by preventing them, not physically, but arguing they should not major in dumb things. How long have I been trying to do that? How long have doctors, I know some people in the medical profession, that in comes this fat waffalo. I won't say where, but look, very common. Women will get a yeast infection down there. Do you know what yeast thrives on? Sugar. Oh my God, all the fat women have yeast infections. I wonder what the cause could possibly be. And I know several people who have given up trying to introduce reality, like you got to lose weight, not just for your yeast infection, ladies, but your heart. Forget even social reasons or romantic reasons, but pure. And what happened? They get yelled at. You try and tell girls, hey, you should major in engineering and not this. What are you called? You're called a sexist or a misogynist or whatever. I mean, you try to help them and they hate you. Sometimes they'll even go to like ruin your reputation and ruin your life. You're like, I'm telling you to eat your broccoli. And because they are so far gone and so far, like just they're wedded. They're past that event horizon. There's no getting them out. The only practical thing left to do, it's not even Machiavellian. I guess it is. Like you look at like, this is the only thing, is to sell them lies. They're not going to consume or entertain anything else. Look at the rare and exceptional woman that actually comes along, like Allie Drummond, Real Femme Sapien. I know there's a gal, Liv. She's a workout gal. She competes in weightlifting competitions, and she wants to be a traditional wife, and she is. She's married to a guy. Troy, I met him. There's instances, but very quite literally for every traditional woman who puts men at the center of their lives or their husband and love and family, there are literally 1,000, maybe multi-thousands of women who think that's degrading, berate the girls, call them Misha, doopy 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 doo. And I am not going to sell to an audience where 1 in 1,000 might heed it. I mean, Oprah was on this a long time ago. Maybe she didn't have a deep dive atomic level of understanding that I got about the perfect mental state, but she intuitively knew it. Oprah didn't sell women about diet and health and pleasing your man and putting children and family and husband at the center of your life. It was all this self-interest. You're the queen, you're the goddess, you're the center of the universe, which leads to a lonely life. But in introducing other people, by necessity requires selflessness, which requires sacrifice, which requires investment. Like and we don't have to do this on a romantic level. You want to make a lot of money? Well, what you need to do is you need to sacrifice. You need to invest in what society wants. Society doesn't want another journalism major or social worker. What it wants is computer programmers, engineers, doctors, and stuff like that. You are selfless to the point like, okay, what does society want? Society wants this. I will become a petroleum engineer. I will become a lineman. I will become a plumber. And oh my God, look at that. The investment is reciprocated through society, in this particular case through financial compensation. But when it comes to romantic or personal relationships, it is the counter investment and reciprocation of their time. And in the case of men and women, love, culminating in its ultimate form, sex. And you can have good sex, you can have bad sex. And fat people don't have good sex. And so when you introduce that, especially in the binary relationship between men and women, where the other is more or less defined by the other opposite sex, women just don't like that. I'm not defined by men. How much do they hate it being objectified sexually? And you could say, well, men don't control that. It's not, you just want one thing. Yes, you're right. We do want one thing. And if we're going to marry you, we're going to want a lot more. But by that disrupts the perfect mental state. So if you go through the menu, I'll tell you right now, it was difficult coming up with very important things that would give women who want nothing to do with men purpose and reason. But it had to be with the only thing left in your life when you don't want to have anything to do with the opposite sex, and that is yourself. And so it's very inward looking. It was by accident, though I guess it was kind of defined. If you look at it, it is the 7 deadly sins, vice, almost to the point of self-worship. And if you follow the advice of like you could look at it, I'm not spilling the beans. And admittedly, this was a trial balloon to see how Operation Evil would work. And it didn't. Because I also found out that if you want to advertise to a female audience, you have to be in the beehive. You have to network. You have to be on Becky's good side. It is truly Mean Girls, 1980s high school girl popularity contest environment. It's not like, hey, I got this book. Do you want some money in advertise? Oh, no. Well, you better talk to, Sherry. And Sherry will tell you, you better talk to Becky. If you don't like, you don't even hear from them. I also think there's a lack of true entrepreneurship and hustle on that side. But if you look at the two differences, the men's menu is productive, constructive, will give you purpose and agency, and you will sleep well at night. And by the time you die, you will have no regret. The menu for women is utterly self-serving, self-worship, indulgent, gluttonous, and all the other 7 deadly sins. And you will waste your life if you follow that advice. Here's the problem. I could tell them, no, don't. Not one of them will listen to me. That's the only thing like, you got a kid, right? Kid's got jaw, pretty strong jaw, one of the strongest, muscles there. You can't open, you got to pry the kid's mouth open. He ain't going to eat the broccoli. There's no way he's going to eat the broccoli. You physically cannot feed that kid broccoli. But he will open his mouth for ice cream. Now, you could walk away at that time. So I'm not going to give the kid ice cream. It's not good for him. I merely said, well, if there's money in it, at least something productive will come out of it because their lives are gone anyway. I'll be perfectly honest about that. If you live for yourself, you might as well not be alive. Perfectly honest and true. Right? This is a sad, tragic state we've come to where one group doesn't want to have anything to do with the other group. That's fine. It's not our choice. Right? But here we are. And so if you look through the men's menu, there's things like religion, philosophy, friends, community. Also some excellence. I won't lie. There's a little bit of indulgence. There's a little bit of like selfish things in there as well. Right. But the reason you say, oh, women's that's pretty bad. Yeah. Well, you going to get him to eat the broccoli? You going to get him to eat the broccoli? What, you come up with the magic book to get the kid to eat the broccoli. And so here from a Machiavellian perspective, well, they're not going to listen to anything else. I might as well sell them. Here it is. And one thing I will say that was what a lot of feminists and women in general would look at it. I say, I think I advance. I'm not joking. I think I advance feminism, or at least that philosophy, to a logical next step, to a next evolutionary stage. Where I'm like, well, what about this? And with that mindset, perfect mental state, and they're not going to accept anything else. That's like, well, that's like adding sprinkles to the ice cream. Yeah, it certainly is. Here's a little whipped cream, and here's some chocolate sauce. And they're like, oh wow, but they didn't eat it up. But that's more because of I truly think because of marketing reasons. So yeah, that's just like, Aaron, this is wrong. Like, well, yeah, but you are adhering to a real world reality, and perhaps even a principled and ethic reality of like, well, that's not going to help them. That's going to hurt them. Have you gotten them to stop shooting themselves in the foot? Have you gotten girls to stop majoring in dumb crap and crippling their financial futures? Have you gotten women to stop gaining weight? Have you gotten women to be happy? It's not stopping. It isn't. And that's what I'm trying to say. Look, there's going to be more antidepressant use. They're going to keep majoring in stupid stuff. They're going to keep looking at themselves as the ultimate form and purpose in life. You're not going to stop that train. You're just going to waste your time. I'm saying, like, I don't know, attach a pulley system to the train and get some energy out of it. I mean, the Democrat Party, look at how much money it's made off of not just women, but various different groups, minority, differently abled, pick whatever variant or trait you'd like. Oh yeah, just vote for us and give us money. Yeah. Oh yeah, no, it's still the white man. It's still the patriarchy. Here's your ice cream. Why am I in government housing and getting shot at? Don't know. Real Scooby-Doo mystery. And so there you go. That's why. Simply because they won't listen to anything else. Why are you feeding your kid ice cream? Because he ain't going to eat anything else. Well, it's bad for him. Yes, it is. But you try and feed him something else. And so, and this is where I get to that dark misanthropic philosophy of I think it's actually liberating. Well, this train is going to go off the cliff. No stopping it. Might as well enjoy the crash. But all the innocent lives, I debate if they're innocent, and that's not that they're innocent. I debate if they're even alive. With the amount of programming and indoctrination and brainwashing they've got, like it really is very analogous. Like you're trying to stop the train, like you got a big sign, get off the train, and all the women are giving you the finger and calling you names. It's like the bridge is out. You're gonna die, or in this case, waste your life. And then they start throwing rocks at you. Like, okay, I'm done. I'm just going to film it, put it on YouTube, and make some money. Somehow I'm going to capitalize it. What? Can I sell the train conductor some more coal? What do you want? That train is going no matter what. And so what especially men can do, and perhaps some women who care, maybe you have a daughter, maybe you have a sister, maybe you have some friends where you're like, I'm trying to get them to, you got to let them go, man. I got a guy, I won't mention who, but he does things around the world and he sends pictures of equally wonderful places he's at. He's got a sister who's just, she's going off the cliff. And he's at the point where he's given up. Like, I don't care. She's going to waste her life no matter what, because she's addicted to the perfect mental state. And if you get in the way between a woman and the perfect mental state, that's like getting in between a heroin addict and their heroin. They will kill you. Well, maybe not. I don't think girls are going to pull out a gun just to get a fix. Heroin addict will. And that's what it is. You're really dealing with an addict to a life-destroying, toxic, poisonous life philosophy that we didn't introduce, that they're never giving up. And if you've ever known an addict or been related to an addict, there's nothing you can do. They got to hit rock bottom. But most of them are going to die anyway. So break out the popcorn, man. Watch the NPCs fly who give you the finger and call you names and throw rocks. There you go. All right. So the link to that book, The Menu: Life Without the Opposite Sex, is below. I strongly recommend every young man get it. The main impetus for that book was Morgan Stanley Dean Witter came out with a forecast that about 45% of women will not be married by 2030 or have kids, like ever. Half women will be. And man, you look at marriage rates, it's going to be worse than that. Birth rate and marriage rate are going to go way down. Faster than what we thought. And so a lot of you guys who want to get married, understandably so, it just is not going to happen. So you better prepare psychologically, mentally, philosophically for a reality that is coming, a reality you don't want, but it's a reality that's going to happen. And for the love of God, please don't be the fat chick who thinks she's going to marry, Ryan Reynolds. Live in reality. Make sure your life counts. And then ladies, here's the thing. Let's say a woman was intellectually honest and like, no, I don't want to waste my life, but I'm not going to get married. What am I going to do? Read the men's menu. It's not exclusive to men. It's not prohibitive. I would follow everything that's in the men's menu. But if you wanted happiness and joy in life, ladies, stay in shape, be nice. I mean, you know what? Never mind. Forget it. I'm not even going to talk about that. So there you go. And then also linked below is the predecessor book, the Book of Numbers, which I also strongly recommend every man read, so you understand what your statistical chances of happiness and success are with women. That sounds more like, could you put numbers on it? Well, we tried our darndest. And in honor of Fred, maybe get his last work. He did a lot of them. They didn't do all the numbers. I did a lot of the numbers, but he verified the statistical validity, the veracity. What we were measuring is what we were trying to measure. So, and then hopefully numbers slap you guys up a little bit, like, because men understand numbers better. Like, oh my God, those are the chances. Well, I better rethink expending literally 65% of my waking hours chasing women. And girls, any of you girls interested in really getting a guy, you could read that book too, and you could reverse engineer, well, the girls are doing X, I should do Y. And then, oh my God, what do I do with all the men? Although I know women are getting a ton of attention from men, they're not having a lot of success with men. But if you want to learn how to have success with men, ladies, you could pay me an egregious fee that I will impute a ton of costs I had to endure from your team of being called all these names when I try to tell them the truth. You're going to pay for it. You're going to pay an arm and leg. It'll still be worth it. Literally, it will cost minimum $1,000. Sam Whiskey, $5. Cappy, what are your thoughts on the human-sized emotional support bear the girls are embracing? What? Human-size emotional support. God, please don't have a hit. Oh my God, this thing exists. Fact or fiction? Human-size emotional support bear. Eye-catching story you may have seen claims a human-sized emotional support bear with the body of a man and the head of a teddy bear is now on sale. It's true. The loving bear Puffy is a 5'7". Oh, it's over. All that investment wasted. Do you manufacturers not know it has to be at least 6 feet tall? What is wrong with you? Did you not do your research? Produced by a Bulgarian Puffy. On the puffybear.com website, it says Puffy replaces the need for the physical presence of a person. Oh, I had to use person, huh? In various moments and situations of everyday life, especially during long, lonely night. I don't. Hi, Sam. I just don't care anymore. It's like, what is it this day? What is it this week? What are you gonna? What's Hollywood gonna make this week of its crazy? What crazy microaggression you gonna come up with now? I don't care. Okay. Hang on. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Thoughts? There you go, ladies. Anything to avoid the gym and setting down the ho-hos, huh, gals? I guess it's no philosophically different than turd flinging monkey and his sex doll. Although I doubt women have the attuned self-awareness that TFM does. If you tune into him, he makes a very logical and clear evident argument as to why he has a sex doll. And I guess you can't refute it. The premises is where you would all disagree, but he goes into a deep dive about neurochemicals and all that. And maybe there's some gals that like, I don't really need a man, but I do understand my brain needs these chemicals released. So I'm going to get this surrogate, the dog of no real value. She's a woman. She carries around her stuffed toy like it's a child. She's never had puppies, So I get it. If only you could. I guess women just don't want to. I guess women don't want to live for another person because that would take effort and work. Because the barrow, cats and dogs. Why women have cats? Because cats don't take as much work. There you go. Ultimately, you can tell. Boy, one might even say the true definition, like the robot test, whatever they call that 3-question test. The one question for a human to see if you're really human is, do you want humans? Are you willing to invest time in humans, or do you love yourself so much? And if you love yourself so much, then you're not human. You're an NPC. That's just another organism trying to survive. And laziness is your ultimate operating system. Anything that consumes calories of energy, you won't expend it on it unless it benefits you, which is fine. There's the book. Taekwondo for $2 because you're a mad, mean, and greedy capitalist. Yes, I am. I tried. Many years I tried, and now I'm done. Sam Whiskey, $5. Cappy, are you familiar with the 5 Laws of Stupid by the economist Carlo Coppola? He was Robert Greene before Robert Greene. No, can you email that to me, Sam, so I don't forget it? I might check that out. I just recently started getting into Schopenhauer. Many thanks to my sickness. Like, oh my God, did you know there's all these other people that wrote and said things? Seb Knowlton, $5. Happy 2023, Cappy. You know that you could get your million subscriber trinket if you would tell the Landwells that they can have it all. Yes, girl. Yeah, I don't think so. You have to be the right type of person. I think it helps to be female. And the only guy I think who probably could pull that off is and he's not wrong. He tells girls the truth. They just don't listen because he's just so handsome and good looking. He has the Australian accent. What is the guy? Matt Hussey? Matt Hulse? He's a dating coach for women. Oh, and he's got his Australian accent. Oh, I'm just really, and I talk and I look you right in the eye and I point my hands at you. And that's why you must listen, ladies. It's very key, very important. And the girls are like, oh my God. They just roll out. You got to go. You'll come in with a roll of bounty to his seminar so you can wipe up all the wetness. But I've actually listened to the guy. He's not wrong. But I think that's the only type of guy that girls would listen to. I mean, you better be a really good looking guy. Evan M, 10 Canadian bucks. It's not just that women resent being told not to major in political science. It's that they'll actively simp for the professors as much as the soyest of soy boy simps for feminists. Okay, do they go after the professor? I don't know. Do they? I don't see that. Um, I remember there was one professor that I had that all the girls really wanted to bang, and all the guys were like, "What about us?" And we didn't understand because, like, dude, that guy's like 40 years old. Like, yeah, but he was also ripped, jacked, handsome, and had a lot of money. Come on, anymore. I like trains for $1. Thanks, man. Trains are cool. Who didn't like trains? When you were a kid, you saw a train go by. Oh man, that was a cool thing. Sam Whiskey, $5. The girls all love Starbucks and iPhone over a good advance. Oh, happy New Year, old man Cappy. Yeah, I really do. I go. I'm not saying deep down inside they want a guy. They just don't know that yet. There would be a mystery to them until they die. Oh, why am I on antidepressants? Why? But when given a choice, I really think at another core psychological level, they really don't want guys. Yeah, they would. Would you prefer an iPhone or this guy who has a really good charming advance, or maybe not even a charming, a guy advanced? And here's an opportunity. Might have to go out with him 2 or 3 times to find the real him. Ew, creepy. Matthew Hunt, thank you, Katie. Matthew Hussey, that's the guy, and he's not wrong. He isn't. I was shocked at how spoken he was. He's not. He's the whole package. He's not just this good-looking guy who has an accent. He knows exactly what he's talking about, and he's a very, very good speaker, an exceptional speaker. You're like, man, wow, I wish I could talk like you. Maybe, obviously, he probably rehearses a little bit. His delivery is just perfect. I, of course, just kind of go on the fly because I don't have the time. All right, there you go. So the books are linked below. I'd love it if women start reading that book. Just and leave a review. You could tell how much it hates. You can tell a book is really good when it's got a bunch of 5 stars and a bunch of 1 stars. It means it's a truthful book. All right, there you go. See you guys later. Toodles.